smashing the button.
I was playing Call of Duty last night.
I fall short of that behavior.
The Russian military thought this would take 3 days.
Welcome to the Procast. I'm Jake. That's Nolan. It's
Hi.
Tackett. Here we are. Today we're going to be doing a little history, doing a little memory hold, and then he's got something you got some news? You got some news today?
If you want to.
Tackett?
No, it's
That way?
toxic masculinity.
Yeah, we're gonna do
toxic masculinity. So, but when is the UN Admiral?
Oh,
Investor,
so we'll
NATO
do you want
guy
to jump
coming
right in?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Like you
Let's
guys
jump
asked me if I had heard
right
about that,
in.
and I have not.
Yeah.
If you're not on the Discord, get in the Discord. If you want to start a business, the link is down below to the 2A Pro course, and and that is all the advertising you get. The Discord is free. The business course is not. The links are down below. Go ahead.
Nice. So let's jump straight in. Are you aware that the Biden administration is wanting to give nukes to Ukraine?
Yes,
Okay.
very much so. Yes.
So are you aware that a UN admiral, I believe, I forget his official title, but it's like the commander of like the UN military committee or whatever, he thinks that it's a good idea to have preemptive strikes against Russia.
Yeah. They are
And he gave like a full
actively just turning the volume up on it.
He gave a full 16-minute speech on why all the nations in NATO need to start dumping funds into defense contracting. He's basically selling timeshares, but for defense contracting.
Yeah, because that war's about to be over, and everybody's panicking because they make all their money.
He
on
said
that war.
flat out in his speech, he was like, every dollar that you invest in Ukraine, you
make
will get
3.
back 3. Like
Wow.
the
No,
speech,
not in Ukraine. In defense contracts.
Yeah,
Wow.
but like the speech
It's a great
is like,
opportunity, he says.
it feels, if you were to change some of the verbiage, he's literally like, he's selling timeshares. Like it is obviously like, if you are the people of that kind of money and magnitude that he's talking to, it is an investment opportunity for you to make money. It like blew my mind yesterday watching that video because I could see like what it actually was for the first time ever.
Yeah, can you play part of that video here?
Yeah,
I mean,
we
can you take a little chunk out of it and then put it in right here?
Yeah.
In 2023, Ukraine had a $3 billion defense industry. In 2025, this will grow to 25 billion. 10 to 15 billion will be bought by the Ukrainian government. Approximately 2.5 billion is already pledged by a number of governments. So that still leaves a $7.5 to $12.5 billion window for investments in Ukraine. They are fast, they are good, and they are reliable. And investing in the Ukrainian defense industry has a synergetic effect. We help ourselves, we help them, and thereby we help ourselves again. So every dollar or euro you spend in Ukraine, you earn back threefold. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, it was gross because like he starts out by saying, I've been flying all over to financial meetings, to philanthropic meetings.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you going to financial and philanthropic meetings?
He
and
makes-
he's like, what I do for my job is to help companies understand if they're ready for war. I'm like,
Yeah.
your title is very confusing to me, sir.
He makes good sense there. Like he has a line in his speech where he says that militaries win battles, economies win wars,
Yeah.
and he's like totally right. Like the U.S. won
Broken
World War
clock.
II because of our manufacturing ability. Like we stayed out of the war long enough and just outproduced.
Right.
So like he's not wrong. Like if we're gonna wage like some sort of global war right now, and it's gonna be economy versus economy. Problem is we already very much are. That's already going on. So it's really pretty words in a way to try to get money dumped into defense contracting in Ukraine. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
He's talking about how all of he has a whole part of it.
Commercializing it.
It is. He has a whole part of it where he talks about how much money can be made because of the increased demand for weapons and ammunition. Like it's just blatantly an investment opportunity. It's just strange. We just live in a strange world.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing to me. So like I will give there is more to his statement. I'm going to be paraphrasing, but at the end he says NATO is technically a defense organization. It's a defense group, so we will have to wait to be attacked first. But he does believe it is a good idea to make a preemptive strike. So that being said, there is a little bit more context to that, but still, psychos are psychos.
That's why they were trying to pull Ukraine into NATO so fast, because once they...
Right. But like we were talking yesterday, and I was just like, a preemptive strike, that's called like just straight up starting war.
Yeah.
Because like if Russia made a preemptive strike, what would they call it? Would they say it's a preemptive strike?
Yeah, you can...
It's just Putin has been saying. Putin started saying when Hillary Clinton was the SecDef, he started saying like, hey, if you guys continue to mess with Ukraine, if you guys continue to flirt with this idea that Ukraine's going to be in NATO, that's a red line for me. Do not with Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like that is the birthplace of Russia. Like it is a red line for me. Like you guys have done enough. Leave Ukraine alone. And they just were like, and overthrew the government of Ukraine and installed Zelensky anyways. You know, like
Allegedly.
Right. And then like once it starts, so you have the Obama administration that pushes hard into Ukraine, but won't officially put them in NATO, but that's the conversation that's being had. And then they overthrow the government and install an American-friendly leader.
Allegedly.
Right? Then you have the Trump campaign, or you have the Trump administration for 4 years, and there's like a stand down. Like there's no issue with Ukraine. There's still money going through Burisma and coming back into like people like Mitch McConnell and the Biden family, and like all of the Burisma stuff is so much worse than just Biden. Like there's both sides are involved in money going through Ukraine. But then as soon as the Biden administration wins the election, it looks bad in Ukraine, right? So Kamala goes over as like the liaison person, like the point of contact to the Ukrainians, and she gives a speech in Switzerland about how they're going to put Ukraine in NATO. And that's when the 40-mile convoy invades Ukraine. Like he stacked up that convoy, and then Kamala Harris flew to the other side of the planet and said, we're going to cross your red line. And he said, all right, and invaded. Like,
yeah,
you can't, I don't want to like defend Russia, but like he said blatantly, stop fucking with Ukraine or I'm going to invade Ukraine. We can't act like he was the aggressor in that.
Yeah.
Like he just wasn't. We were. We violated every single agreement since World War II. Like we boxed him into a corner, and we want to put fucking nukes in Ukraine now.
Yeah,
that's Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it is Looney Tunes.
Let's say Ukraine falls. What happens to those nukes now? We're just giving him nukes? We're putting nukes out on the black market? Like, who's control of it? The amount of money that's disappearing in Ukraine right now, all this funding, like, there's so much shadiness going on over there. Now you're going to introduce nuclear weapons into that, too?
Well, you introduce
Holy
nuclear
shit.
weapons, you have to defend the nuclear weapons. And what does that entail? That
It-
entails,
so you-
entails putting American troops saying, look, they've got nukes now. We got to be able to defend these nukes. They're American nukes.
Right.
And we've got to have soldiers there to ensure that, and to ensure their safety and to ensure we have some tracking on them.
It's
You know what
all
I mean?
escalatory for no good
Yeah,
reason.
yeah,
And the
no.
Russian military is not a threat to the
And
United
it's
States.
got a short amount of time to get this shit done. I mean, what are we at? Like 70 days?
I don't know, man.
I know. If they're gonna kick it off, they gotta kick it off now.
Less.
About 70 days, 60 days now. Like we're getting real close.
November, December,
59?
what's inauguration date? The January 6th.
January 6th.
Is it actually
but
the 6th?
20th. The 20th is the. I think it's the 20th is the January. Isn't 20th the actual changeover? I know the 6th is the address, but
I don't know.
yeah, I believe we should know that.
Yeah.
but
I should for sure
So
know that.
I'm pretty sure it's 20th.
I'm a bit like stupid sometimes, but like, you know, looking at it from my perspective, if I was actively at conflict with a place, right? And you said, hey, you should stop that. But I'm still at conflict, and you're like, well, I'm going to give them nukes. Before you do that, I'm probably just going to wipe that place off the map.
Right.
And
Why
be
wouldn't
like,
I just
Nope.
why wouldn't I just nuke Kiev then?
I
And be
wouldn't-
like, all right, what do you want to do now?
well, I wouldn't nuke it because then you might nuke it. So I'm just going to wipe it off first.
Yep.
I'm just gonna level the city.
I mean, dude.
You can't send nukes there.
Have
It's
you
gone.
have you seen the grid square?
I'm not saying
shelling
that I want
that.
that.
They're
I'm
doing
saying
over there?
that makes.
It's crazy looking. You can see like the aerial photography of the like artillery implosions. You can see how they're literally just going grid square by grid square.
Oh, really?
And just shelling. It's crazy. It looks like Battlefield. It looks like polka dots of Battlefield. They're all perfectly in a
mean
row.
Battleship?
Yeah.
Yeah, Battleship, yeah.
Battleship. Yeah. But it's like it literally looks like that. It's just
J20.
fields and towns where you can see it's just
J21.
GPS driven like artillery.
Did you guys ever have the electronic battleship?
I think so.
What do you
No,
mean?
maybe not.
The one that like made like
Yeah, and then it also like you would like press the buttons and it'd be like A4.
was
Yeah,
there
I think that's
Miss.
where I was getting that. It was miss. Yeah.
was there a version of it that wasn't that?
Yeah. There was just a board
Yeah,
game,
it
and then
a
there was
board-
an electronic
and there was-
version.
Yeah, it was like a little divider that went up between you and your opponent, and they had little pegs that went into your ship.
Maybe I
was-
wasn't. Maybe I wasn't as poor as I
Little
thought I
pegs
was.
that, like when your ship got hit.
Yeah, you
and
have
then once
each one has a certain amount of
and
times
so
it can
you
get
knew
hit.
that like once you like landed on like B20
Right.
or B3,
Right.
that B4 was probably viable.
Yeah.
Or it could have gone up to C depending
Yeah.
on how they arranged their shit. Yeah. So, okay.
But if it wasn't the electronic
Such a
one,
good game.
the electronic one
totally
kept you
forgot
from
about that.
cheating.
Huh?
How did the analog one keep you from cheating?
I mean, it wouldn't. You'd have to record your own data, and then when they dropped their divider and they cheated,
because-
then you socked them in the face.
because-
because back then, like used to fucking, you'd wrestle.
Yeah,
because
because back then people had integrity.
I don't think I've ever finished a game of Monopoly. Right? Like Monopoly just turns into an argument.
It turns into a fist fight real fast.
I've never finished a full game of
No,
Monopoly.
it
I've never
turns
been
into an
a
argument.
winner or a loser.
Whoever the
I've
banker is is
ran
always
out
doing
of
something
time
shady.
or
Yeah.
Every time, dude.
yeah.
Isn't that an allegory for life? Every time the banker in Monopoly is always stealing bills.
Always stealing bills, man. So
But no,
yeah, the banker
us
of
at
Monopoly
Faceless
is
Megacorp love you and would never do
Us at
anything.
the banker
Faceless
of
Megacorp.
Monopoly is akin to the Federal Reserve. So that's
100%. I think Monopoly is like way more I think that they were trying to say something when they made
Yeah,
that
I think
game.
that is the Federal Reserve. It's
an allegory.
They're like, do you see why this is a bad idea?
Let's play
Is
a
anybody
game
picking up on this?
called the United States
Yeah. Yeah.
budget.
If I own the railroads, I'll crush you.
January 20th is the day that.
Jan 20th?
That's
Yeah,
official
so
changeover.
That's the official changeover.
It's
yeah,
just
the
interesting to
inaugural
me because
January
as
26th.
soon as Trump won the election, literally within like 48 hours, you had every major terrorist organization, China and Russia, all saying that they wanted to calm the waters and they were willing to have peace talks. And the current administration is launching new long-range missiles into Ukraine, into Russia. Why are we doing that?
Oh, dude.
Why the f- are we? Why are
because
we
we're escalating
turning
a-
the volume up? Like,
It-
and then we're talking about putting nukes there also on top
They're
of
turning
it.
the volume up because they have a very short amount of time to turn the fucking volume up to turn it into World War III.
Right.
That's exactly what they fucking want.
Right. I fucking hate that.
Yeah,
That's the.
they're
I don't see
they're
anything
trying
else.
to start a fucking war before Trump gets in, like, because they know that he won't. And so if they can
Is
get
it
it
the
going
New World
now,
Order?
what's that?
It feels like the New World Order, man. It feels like NATO and like the WEF and all
The
these
WEF
global
is
organizations
completely
are a New World Order. It feels like they think that they are above. Like they don't. They all live in like Zurich and stuff. They
Well,
could nuke 90% of the planet, and it wouldn't.
It probably falls along the lines of they know that they need to keep funneling money through their defense contractors because it has shown that Trump has been like kind of anti-war.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, well, we've got all of our investments locked up in, Lockheed and
Yeah.
and Raytheon. They're like, okay, so let's dump money into this war so we get money back in our stock shares.
I just do not understand the human condition that just why we have mapped the entire globe.
Yeah.
Can we start doing other shit? We can find out what like what's at the bottom of the ocean. We have no idea.
Why are we still fighting
Like we
with
know
each
that
other?
there's
Stupid.
squids that live in the ocean that are bigger than the biggest buildings we've ever built.
Yeah.
I want to see that on video. You know what I mean? Like let's put some money into that. Why are we just determined to blow each other up? I don't. Humans are so disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
The time of great like explorers is over. It's a
I think the average person doesn't want to blow each other up. I think it's a carefully manipulated system.
of criminals.
The propagandist whole job is to make one set of people hate another set of people.
Right,
It's
that's what I'm
just a
saying.
huge propaganda campaign.
Yeah.
We hate Russians because Russians bad.
It just you would hope that like when the world saw like World War II, like you saw what the Industrial Revolution mixed with like archaic human ideas, when those two things came together, what it produced. You'd think that the entire civilization would have had like a DNA shift. Like humanity as a whole would have been like, maybe we should be good to each other because we could literally just exterminate the entire planet.
Yeah.
And no, we learned nothing.
Well,
Well,
that
there's also a reason why. I mean, there's an effective push on residing on Mars. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Like the-
That the
All the
elites
people with
legitimately
all the
wanna
money
leave.
are trying to figure out how they can survive on Mars because I think the writing is on the wall. That once somebody presses that button, it's fucking game over.
Yeah.
This whole world. Is,
Yeah, how do you
we're gone.
I like the idea that like people that want to talk about like denuclearizing governments, but like what does that actually mean? It's not you can't. That's like saying like we're going to get rid of. It's the entire argument against guns. It's too late. It's too late. They're out there now.
Yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
So
yeah, the second we get rid of all of ours,
Right.
and we assume that they're going to get rid of all of theirs, the guy with one nuke wins.
Yeah.
Wins the world.
yeah,
The guy- you know
if
what
you're
I
the
mean?
only
The
dude
guy
with a
that
gun
said,
in the meeting.
I'm not getting rid of this one though.
yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's way too many bad actors. There's way too many just bad people in the world to allow.
Well, it's a
that.
good
Like,
theoretical
just not-
question too. The hypothetical that we asked Dudley, like when we were out there, and he had a different answer than we did. Totally fine, but it's a good question. I think you asked me this question one time.
Yeah.
It was like if
If you could snap your finger and all modern munitions are just
all
gone.
modern munitions are completely gone, with no ability to make new ones,
Right.
and it's a total hypothetical because it would never happen. But it's like you get rid of nukes, you get rid of guns,
just
you
a
get,
thought
you get rid of
experiment.
ammunition. The only thing you really can have are just your typical blades that you would normally have, right? Just obviously you're not going to get rid of fucking the kitchen knife and things like that. But outside of your hands, your feet, and the common blade, would you do it? Would you snap your fingers to kind of like put the entire world on an equal playing field of like your hands and your fists, your hands and your feet are now the new weapon? I think our answer was yeah.
I would.
Curious to see how what would happen. I'm curious to see what the world would do in a situation like that. What because the invasions wouldn't stop. The attacks on other societies wouldn't quit.
stop.
But I'm wondering what the world would look like after that. It's just an interesting thought process to kind of walk through.
I think technology is kind of the ultimate Pandora's box, isn't it? Like, for all the good that it does for us, it destroys us at the same time.
Right.
For all the good that AI does for us, it makes us
Right.
Yeah.
like, for all the good that social media does, connecting. Like, we live in a time now where you can have a scientist on a different side of the planet than the other scientist, and they can share real-time results with each other in the blink of an eye. The ability for advancement and just the sharing of knowledge on planet Earth is just unlike ever before. But yet at the same time, like,
There's been more false
Divisiveness.
knowledge,
right,
and
the
more false
divisiveness
information.
and like the attention span destruction on social media. The fact that you can sit on TikTok, me and you could go live on TikTok, and then our followers, it's like a thing that they do on TikTok. I just found out about
You
this.
go
and it's
live with
driving me
another
nuts.
person's live?
Yeah, so me and you
Oh,
go
that's a
live
shit.
together, and then our followers will buy like little hats and shit that pops up on the screen,
Yeah.
like digital stuff, for like $5 or more a piece. And whoever makes more money wins. And there are people at home that get excited to try to get their person to win, and will spend their own money to put fucking digital cowboy hats on my head.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening to us?
They were doing that during the election.
What the
So
f- is
there was
happening to
this
us?
thing on TikTok that they would have one guy representing Trump and the other guy representing Kamala, right? And it was live. It was a live thing. It would be a blue and then red, and like you would log in, you'd get onto their live thing, and you would have to post. You'd have to say Trump as many times as you possibly could, or hit the fucking vote button, the Trump button, whatever it was. Like you just hit the button, and people were just hitting the button, and on both sides, like the viewers were just smashing this button as much as possible, and this little counter would go up at the top, and you'd see like Trump losing and Kamala winning, and
Go
Kamala
outside.
losing and Trump winning, but nothing was really
touch the
happening.
grass.
Nothing was really happening. They were just fucking smashing the button, like you know what I mean? And I couldn't believe it when I saw it, and then like you'd have like Kamala would win, everybody would go yay, and then they would start over and they'd do it again.
I was playing Call of Duty last night, and I had like a poignant moment. I was playing like a small map. All Call of Duty maps are like 3 hallways,
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were just getting crushed. They just had us locked down. So I just kept running down the same hallway through the same door and getting smoked by the same guy.
And
I
getting
probably did it
more
like,
and more mad
Yeah, I did it
every
like
single
15
time.
times in a row. Just the exact same behavior. And it dawned on me like, why? Like, even playing Xbox is doing something strange to me. Like, I'm getting stuck in this obsessive loop of behavior, even if it's like on this video game. There's no logical reason behind what I'm doing, and I'm not thinking through it. I
wanna go faster, I wanna kill.
Yeah, I'm just obsessing over some strange thing.
Yeah.
We're giving kids that obsession from like 6.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
handing them TikTok on top of it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
what are we
And
doing?
what you were saying right there, like that, and I'm not calling you dumb. I'm just saying.
I am.
But Einstein said that the measure of intelligence is change.
Yeah.
Like the measure of your intelligence is your ability to change, right? And so
That's what I'm saying. It like scared me because like I'm smarter than this.
Yeah.
I am smarter than this, and I just did it
And
like
if you're not
15
changing
times in a
your
row.
behavior and you're not doing anything new, then you're and I'm a victim of it. Like I'm not a victim.
It just
by
had me
any
like
means, but
mesmerized.
I
know?
do the same thing.
Yeah.
I fall short of that behavior.
I fall short of that. Yeah.
We need to deepen our lexicons, boys.
Yeah, indeed.
DM me if you want to play Xbox with me.
Your DM just gets blown
Yeah, it's gonna
up.
get
Good.
overwhelmed. But like, I
Let's
want to
go,
play Xbox
homies.
with
Play
that guy.
Xbox, bro.
Hell yeah.
Did you? Let's take a shift. Let's take a shift. Did you see the new Jaguar commercial?
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Jaguar gone woke.
And I don't know. there might be a copyright issue. Go look at the new Jaguar
There might
commercial.
be a copyright issue.
So I'm not going to play it for you because there might be a copyright issue on it. But this is following Jaguar switching their logo. So did you know that they switched their logo?
No.
So here's their logo that they switched from. They switched from that to that.
From an angry Jaguar to
From
a
an
J.
actual Jaguar to a J and an upside down J.
Oh, I actually didn't see this yet. Let me see
Okay,
it.
so
Why?
what's the significance
Why?
of
The
is that too
Jaguar on the
violent?
front of the car is so gangster.
It's
Violent?
because they're making, yeah. It's too.
It's too masculine, dude. It's too aggressive.
You know,
Too
it's
aggressive.
aggressive.
It's aggressive.
It's a
Yeah.
new age, right? But I wanted to read this article from the Telegraph. Jaguar boss says criticism of new advert is vile hatred and intolerance. Carmakers chief company must move away from traditional automotive stereotypes to succeed.
What automotive
So
stereotypes?
hold on, I
What does that
want to
sentence
address that
mean?
real fast, right? The thing that got us to this point, we now need to stop doing.
Yeah.
So whoever is behind all
Just
these
spit
pushes,
in our customer's face.
right, right. The brand we have built, we now need to not have that. And you're like, why don't people like us anymore?
Right.
It is insane to me what these marketing agencies get to charge these companies. That you're talking like tens of millions of dollars to come into a boardroom and look at people that have built a multi-billion-dollar successful company and say, your entire customer base is the problem.
Is wrong.
Jaguar is a car for successful men. That's why it has a Black Panther on it. It's the same joke as the Black Panther spray from Anchorman. There's
Right.
something
It's
masculine
powerful.
and mysterious.
You have tamed the wild
right.
beast.
And as Jaguar has gotten older, it's also a car for like old ladies. But it is still
Right.
like it's a mark of like being successful. You're not supposed to be
like
inclusive.
an Aston,
I drive
yeah.
a Jaguar because you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're spitting down the face of the brand. It's like going to Lincoln and being like, we have to get rid of Matthew McConaughey. Like you don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, it's I want to load more of the article, but they're trying to get me to sign up, so I'm not. But I do have comments on it. He talks about how there's like just all this hatred and intolerance, and it's like, no, bro, you put a bunch of models and made them look very strange, like a rendition of
they look
Blade
very
Runner,
strange.
which Blade Runner is hyperbole, allegory, whatever, for the terrible path the future is going down, and you just did it.
Right.
Didn't put a car in there, and then had a bunch of pink rocks, and then you're like, why don't people like my car commercial?
There was no car in the commercial.
There was no car.
Yeah, you got done watching the commercial and going, okay, I see that you're doing a commercial about Jaguar, but I never understood. I don't know that this commercial is about Jaguar. It's like a fucking cologne commercial, and there was never a cologne.
Right.
Like, what does you getting out of the ocean have anything to do with the way I smell?
I don't know.
Fact,
I kind of understand that one a little bit more. It's fragrance, right? That's the idea. It's the essence. But this is like, what? Pardon me? It's also the complete shift of like we're saying here is just this complete shift of losing your identity to an idea of another identity.
Right.
It's the idea that being something and then just thinking too hard about what that something is,
Yeah.
that you just completely lose it.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yeah, and you and I sat in here and had like on Friday, we had a really good heart to heart, both like between you and I and about the company and the direction of the company and where we were going. And I think, we've like, to those of you listening on social media right now, or to those of you just listening to the podcast,
We're turning
who
into a
follow us,
tampon company.
we're answering.
Tacticon tampons, it
Yeah.
works, dude.
You want it,
Tactipons?
you got it.
Tactipons.
We are now Tacticons, Tacticon tampons.
Tactipons.
Tactipons.
No, but
Ooh, can we sell puns too? Can we be tactipuns?
But the conversation, a lot of it was like, hey, we need to start like transitioning from like, having products that are made overseas to products that are made here. We have the capability for it. We've got like a full blown, we've got full blown machine shops and all sorts of manufacturing ability here. And customers are becoming more and more vocal about like, hey, like, can you just get that particular optic out of China, please, and do this and do that. And they're speaking in the comments. And what do we do? Ignore them?
Nope.
No. Right? That's the market telling us like, hey, you need to move and do something different. Like we need to be different. We want to be a part of something different. And that's exactly what we're doing. And like we're putting we're putting a lot of our focus into that right now. So thank you guys for being vocal about it and speaking up. And we are making that transition.
Right.
Know? So
Thank you for hiring 2 guys that are marketing guys that didn't go to college.
No, dude.
Because that's
wouldn't
what
have
it
it
is.
any other way.
It's these major companies are hiring people that have the right paperwork, the right college degree, and they're just brainwashed morons.
Yeah.
They're just brainwashed morons. They genuinely think that the correct market for Jaguar is overweight lesbians that live on government assistance. Like, it's fucking retarded. They're trying to sell Jaguar to 0.0000001% of the society. Like, no one that buys Jaguar wants to believe that the world operates without sex.
But I thought
there is no man
I
or
thought
woman.
the writing was on the fucking wall that like woke is done, dude. This game
Woke
is
is
over.
Fuck no, not for those that drink it.
This game is over though. This like
It's
they're
the Ukraine
done.
thing. No,
There
it's
was-
the Ukraine thing. They're trying to
they're-
make this last.
They're
push
trying to
before
make
they
a
can.
last push, but dude, it's done. It's fucking over.
They
like,
believe
it has
that
not
the
worked.
next,
We
it's
tried
the next
it,
generation.
didn't work.
I think that they have a big enough army out of the colleges that like they can make a legitimate stand. What we said the last podcast, now that Trump won, it's just the start of something. This is the beginning of it. That cold civil conflict that we've been in is about to get a lot hotter, and it might be like judicial lawfare and stuff like that. But like at some point, we have to arrest doctors that off of children. Like if you cut the breasts off of young girls, you should go to jail. I don't give a shit whether it was like legal or not at the time. Like that's a crime against humanity.
Right.
That's some shit that the U.S. government would send troops over to your country to deal with. You know, like that's the kind of shit that Saddam Hussein was doing, and we act like he was the worst terrorist ever alive because he was willing to mutilate children, but we did it here.
Yeah.
Someone deserves prison time for that.
Yeah.
Someone deserves worse than prison time for that, but
Yeah, and I think
YouTube.
that's why, and I genuinely think that's why, you know, the system, the apparatus was just so terrified, Republicans included, conservatives included, about Matt Gaetz getting into, the Attorney General.
Look at how
Like,
many
that-
appointees have like there's all out of nowhere. There's like it's
Dude.
literally like, hey, it's literally
They,
like their
like-
blackmail stuff is coming out.
Yeah.
It's literally like that. Whatever apparatus has been controlling them
Yeah.
is attempting to crush them out because it's all like sexual assault stuff and like it's all bad. Matt Gaetz gets accused of like having sex in front of other people with an underage girl. Like that is bad.
Yeah.
And Matt Gaetz look like, I mean, is that really like shocking when you see a picture of Matt Gaetz? It seems kind of believable. The dude looks not great. His eyebrow line is like, you're not a good person. Yeah, he looks like a movie supervillain, dude.
He does.
I just, you know, I think the capability of a lot of these guys that are going into his cabinet right now, and girls, females, women that are going into his cabinet right now, it's scaring the shit out of a lot of elites.
Should.
And it is terrifying them. And you see the panic ensuing right now.
Do you know Ron Paul?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that guy for 50 years has been saying we need to abolish the ATF, we need to abolish the IRS, we need to abolish the Fed, we need to abolish the FBI, we need to abolish the CIA. He just got added to the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yikes, dude. You got Elon, Ron Paul, and Vivek Ramaswamy, and all of them are saying that these agencies have to go. You think they're just going to roll over and go home? They're not just going to like quietly pack a box
Like,
in their
oh,
office.
Sweet. So I've got a fucking platform now.
Elon comes in and eliminates 60% of Twitter.
Right. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy straight out, like they are both saying somewhere between 70 and 80% of the federal government is just going to go home.
Yep.
And dude, I can't get behind it more. I could not agree more. Look at what Javier Milei did in Venezuela. That's what he did. He came in and fired like 80% of the government and overnight fixed the economy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think the reallocation of our resources is definitely something that's going to be it's going to prove to be,
But
you
no,
know,
we
good.
need
But
to-
it's also going to stir up a lot of shit.
You got to put nukes in Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's so insane, dude. It's not this hard to just be like decent humans to each other.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm totally on the vibe that like we should be the biggest dogs on the block, period. And we should let you know that we're the biggest dogs on the block. But we should not be standing on your front porch yelling at you through the front door about how we're the biggest dogs on the block. We should be at our house doing our shit.
Yeah.
Don't come here. Don't come yell at my door. Like
Yeah.
Right. You don't go to the Cholo's house.
right, we're just talking
Because you
shit
know
for
that
no reason.
you cross the street and walk on the other side of the street,
Right.
and then you can go back to that side of the sidewalk because he likes his sidewalk pretty. Don't put your sneakers on his side of the sidewalk.
right.
Is that your experience with Cholas?
No,
Okay.
I just came up with that entire thing in my
I feel
head.
like you have a rough neighbor that you deal with.
Damn. They lived in Placerville, dude.
Oh, domestic violence.
oh, she like domestic violence.
Oh, she like domestic violence.
That's the
Oh, you
funniest
like that,
video
Holmes? Oh God.
You trying to go to the strip club, Holmes?
Yo, I can't
Nolan's-
block her on your shit, dude. Old school internet was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nolan's neighbors are just straight up red-blooded American cowboys. Let's not forget that.
Not some of them, dude.
Really?
Everywhere is infested, dude. Everywhere.
Even in your neighborhood. up
Yeah,
there, huh?
dude.
Wow.
There's one specifically on my street where you turn onto my street, and it's like the second house. Flag for the current thing every time.
Jesus.
Just like, oh, it's that flag now. Oh, it's that flag now. Oh, it's that flag now. And I'm like, first off, how do you have so many flags? Secondly, you
Just
change
finding
these
the
a
next-
lot.
Just finding
And
the next thing. And
Why
then
isn't
putting
the
it on.
American flag up here?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Like, if any flag, it should probably be the country you're in.
No, because somehow the country that you live in that allows you to put that shit in your front yard, not only guilt-free, but also danger-free. No one's going to come do anything about it. No one's going to come kick the
fuck that
flag over.
place.
You're totally okay to have that flag in your yard. That is the most oppressive country on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right.
Got it. Got it. That is the same level of insanity as AOC selling "Eat the Rich" sweatshirts on her Twitter and ranting about how capitalism is the destruction of the world.
Yeah.
Dude.
Ugh.
I need to confirm it.
Are you?
If I can find the video.
I would be careful in Placerville about you putting up any, patriotic anything, just because, you're in a pretty.
I'm gonna
pretty-
come do
You're
it.
in a pretty heavy fucking
I'm gonna come
fire area, and if you want FEMA coming to help you,
I'm gonna
out,
trump
Right.
his entire
yeah,
house.
they're gonna skip. They're gonna skip your house.
Right.
Yeah.
I will try and find. It says it's a true quote, but this is the internet. If I can find it, I will. If not, I will put over my face that this is not true. But it's a photo of AOC, and it says, "Owning guns is not a right. If it were a right, it would be in the Constitution." So
Oh man.
I will confirm if that's true or not, or maybe I'm just spreading Russian propaganda. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I saw this video. It's of this Ukrainian guy telling Joe Rogan that he's spreading Russian propaganda because Joe Rogan had this guest on his show. I haven't seen the podcast, so I can't fully comment on it. But there's a part where he's talking about Biden wanting to the Biden administration wanting to put nukes in Ukraine, and he says, fuck you people, no. And that's the start of World War III. Don't do that. That's World War III. And this Ukrainian guy was like, you are spreading Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you sound like a Russian propaganda.
His whole thing is like, the Russian military thought this would take 3 days, but because of the bravery of Ukrainians,
Because of the money behind Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, I 100% support the Ukrainian people fighting the Russian horde. 100%. I want to go over there. I know dudes that help get medical aid and training and other stuff in there, and I'm like, that's amazing. That's amazing. I would love to sit down
Defending
with
your land is always a
100%
respectable thing.
But if you were talking to me as an American, you can't fucking tell me that all of what's happening right now is insane. You guys should also be saying, why are you putting me in a position to have to kill an entire generation of young men in order to fight this when none of this should be happening in the first place?
We're adults.
Yeah. That guy was a talking head propagandist trying to get nukes into Ukraine. It's not.
I looked at the comments, and there's one, and it was like, Joe Rogan, you're a Russian propagandist, but what I'm saying is 100% true and not propaganda whatsoever. So, who wants to start?
Who wants to start the podcast?
Yeah, welcome to the 2A Procast, everyone. Toxic masculinity,
Yeah, I'll go
memory hold, or today in history? Who?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool.
I'll go toxic
Go.
masculinity.
Yeah, hit
Okay, so this week to start toxic masculinity off, I just thought it would be fun. I just wanted to tell the story, a personal story I know of a real life thing that happened.
Oh.
So, the idea behind toxic masculinity every week is that we're going to tell the story of how a guy did something very manly that would only be accomplished by someone that would typically be labeled toxically masculine.
By
Something-
today's standards.
Right, something above and beyond, just maybe a little rough around the edges guy, but he did something super heroic. So I wanted to reference a buddy of mine. I won't put his name out there. I think most dudes that do the jobs are pretty humble, and I don't think that, I'll just say Sean. I don't think that Sean would want a lot of hype for what he did, but Sean got toned out at the fire department for a active house fire in the middle of the night. There were some other individuals that were arguing about what apparatus to take, and Sean left on the ambulance. When he got to the house, he could see through the front door that there was a lady laying down in the house. And he made the decision against protocol and against, kind of good common sense to not fully dress out. He didn't go on air. He didn't put his mask on. Just went into the house through the conditions and were able to drag her out. They intubated her in the front yard, literally saved her life, took her to the hospital. The lady lived because of it. The reason that I say it's toxic masculinity is because the response by the department was to write him up for improper use of gear. And he was not the only guy to do something similar like that during the same time frame. I think there were some efforts by the department to come back in time and give them some much due awards for that kind of stuff. But those moments in life should be considered national news. The guys that respond into active shooting events and they're the only cop that goes in and takes down an active shooter, like concealed carriers,
Right.
the Marine in New York that choked out the homeless guy that was threatening to hurt
Yes.
people, like, and he has a $200,000 bail and he's been charged with murder. Like, it's not toxic masculinity to risk your own life to save other people. That's why firefighters, soldiers, cops, and normal everyday people get considered to be heroes. They did something above and beyond that was against good reason.
Right.
That's what makes you a hero. If we continue to act like the risking of your life, the ignoring of protocol to do something above and beyond makes you a problem, then we're going to get rid of heroes altogether. There will be no one worth looking up to anymore.
It's very similar to the Christian Craighead thing.
Right, exactly. Dead nuts. Christian Craighead
Right.
is a perfect example of the toxic masculinity, like, idea that
Right. He gets hemmed up for doing this amazing thing and saving tons of people.
He was flat out told that the only reason his career was going to survive was because it had gone well. Like, the whole issue was that, like, if it had gone bad and a single standalone SAS guy had been balled up by these terrorists, that it was a bad look for the brand. That's disgusting. That's disgusting.
The idea that it's a bad look for the brand of, like, I don't know.
It's not a bad
Maybe
look.
I can't speak to it.
It's
Maybe I
not a bad
shouldn't
look.
speak to
If
it
he
because I was
went in
never
there-
part of the service. But
But say Christian Craighead runs into that hotel, gets into a firefight because he's there, he's
That's
on
noble
site for like a
sacrifice,
whole
right?
day.
That's
right.
what my brain
but
goes to.
Say he runs in and, like, within the first 10 minutes takes out a couple of terrorists and then gets balled up and, like, the day goes on. The amount of time that he would have bought other responders to the scene, the amount of people that he would have given an opportunity to get out of the building, had he run in there and sacrificed his life for one other person, that is the brand of the SAS. That is the brand of, like, those who win. What's the
those who dare win.
those who dare win, right? That is the entire brand that every branch of the military, law enforcement, firefighter, like, it's all built on this idea that I will sacrifice my life right now. I will trade my life for your life.
Right.
And I don't know you.
Right.
Like,
Heroes.
right. That's
Hero
what
shit.
makes you a hero. That's why we respect first responders and soldiers. And what we actually have right now is organizations filled with fucking fat moronic people that would never, ever in a million years do those things. And it's not to slam on everybody in those organizations, but I challenge all of you. Talk to a cop or a veteran or a firefighter, someone like that in your life, and ask them their opinion. Because I know first responders all over the country. We're all saying the same thing. These organizations are full of fat moronic people that don't care about you.
Right. That are-
Uvalde would not happen if they cared about you.
If-
4 fucking hours and they didn't send anyone into, like, they were just standing in the hallway.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It was almost 400 armed grown ass men on scene, and they couldn't handle a single high school kid with a rifle. It's inexcusable, man.
It's
It's inexcusable.
we have been
Your job is to go
filled with
trade your life.
cowardice.
Yeah, your job is to go trade your life. You should have accepted death the day you signed your paperwork.
Well, like Musashi says, that is the resolute understanding of the warrior is the acceptance of death.
I don't.
Right. And there,
I'm not
we
saying
ha-
you should be an idiot. I'm not saying
No.
you should freelance on fire grounds. I'm not saying if you're in the army you should try to pull some Tim Kennedy shit and run around with a bunch of grenades in your backpack. But just, like, you should be willing to go above and beyond for people that you don't know. You should be willing to risk your life. If you're not willing to risk your life, then, like, why are you doing that job? Why are you even entertaining doing that job?
I think it's because it's a lot of ego and it's a lot of optics. Right?
It is. You can be a fat lesbian woman and get into the fire department and hide in the corner, and you get all the honor and you get all the respect for doing something you've never done. It's
Just
the
part of
Dan
the
Blazarians of the
yeah.
world. Dan Blazarian can talk about how he almost was a SEAL and somehow gets the respect for it. Same thing.
Right.
It's the same thing. That's why you had that female cop that pulled her handgun and shot that kid in the belly
Instead of
and
the
yelled
taser?
taser, 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 and shot him like twice. Inexcusable. You didn't know by textile touch which was which.
Right.
Inexcusable.
Yep.
Sorry.
No.
That was a bit of a rant.
it was a
Toxic
rant.
masculinity, every time it lands on me, might be a bit of a rant. It's literally why I quit my job and started what I do, is because I couldn't watch it anymore.
Well, that's the
Could not
purpose of
watch
a
it anymore.
podcast, to allow you to rant. So
It's fair.
It is. Long form stuff.
it is.
Those jobs should be filled with people who don't care about what they make. They don't care about, I mean, not that they don't care about the promotions, but, like, those jobs should be filled with people that do that job because of what that job is. They would do it if you didn't pay them.
Right.
Like the best guys I had in the Army, everyone always said the same thing. I would do this job for free. You know?
Yep.
That should be the attitude of everybody in those jobs.
Yep.
And then because of that attitude, we should pay the fuck out of them, right? Yep. Anyways, toxic masculinity.
completely
Be
agree.
toxic. Be toxic.
Be
Fuck 'em.
toxic in a good way.
Yeah.
We
They
all
can't-
know what it's.
No one
We
can
all-
take your masculinity away from you.
Yeah.
Die free.
I heard something on another podcast not so long ago when they were somebody who was a veteran. He was talking about having a hard time coming back, as most of us have, right? Everybody's got some issues. And what he said was so fucking profound, because I always thought it was the things I went through, the stuff I've seen, the things I did that was causing whatever trauma I thought I had, right? Okay. And he said it wasn't. Now this probably isn't for everybody, but this applies to me. It wasn't necessarily the things that you've gone through, the stuff that you saw and the pain that you felt and the sacrifice that you made. It was we got home after doing stuff like that and we get placed in this world where we can go to Starbucks in the morning and do what we want to, and there was no mission anymore.
I have no
there
purpose.
was no purpose.
Yep.
The lack of purpose is what causes a lot of suicide among veterans. It's the lack of purpose. They get done and they're like, now what? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? And you see it, and you see it not just with veterans, but with
I think it's with men.
With
That's
men.
why men have
Athletes.
the highest suicide rate in the United States now, because not only has society said we hate you and go stand in the corner, but there's no great purpose of men now. There's no
great purpose,
explorers. There's no great there's no.
We're not doing what is genetically kind of ingrained in us, which is to
Be fucking jaguars.
Jaguars and protect and
To bleed out
know?
in the snow.
yeah.
Right, dude. I love that so much. Though, don't make me do dishes thing. I was laughing so hard at that.
I saw a couple posts. It's hilarious.
Don't make me do dishes. I'd rather bleed out in the snow.
No.
It was like in our
It's-
last podcast. I was watching our thing. I was laughing at us laughing about it.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather die in a field than do the dishes.
It's
like I'm supposed to die in a field for my family. I'm not supposed to do the laundry.
When I tell my wife that I would do anything for her, I mean that I would go fight dragons and die for her, not that I would fold the clothes and do dishes.
laundry.
That's not what I'm talking about here.
I'd fight entire armies.
Yeah, I think the mental health surrounding men nowadays just has to do with full blown just the demasculinization of men, but also the lack of purpose once we start doing those things. Once you get out of the military and stop doing the thing, once you're not you're always a father, but once you stop raising the kids and you stop being a fucking dad to your kids because now they're taking care of themselves, or whether you're some fucking superior athlete that is winning gold medals and now you're not winning gold medals anymore and now you're just a fucking person in society. I mean, you find in every
You become a woman.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about you
Bruce
find
Jenner.
in every category of thing that you could possibly think of where you're doing a thing and you're doing it well and you're trying to be on top of your game, and then you're taken away and out of that environment just to exist and to, I don't know, go to work every day and go home and watch TV and have dinner. I mean, it takes the fight out of you.
Right.
Out of me. It's what it took out of me. And I don't know, when I listened to that, it was profound. So I figured
That's
I'd
what I was
share
saying
that,
about we need to start riding bikes again.
Right.
Because it's the zest.
You need to
Yeah.
have a
You got to
goal.
have that weird adrenaline dump. And it doesn't have to be I think that's why veterans have a lot of substance abuse issues. It's because there's some visceral thing about being reckless at a bar that gives you the same.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
kinda-
100%. Yes, 100%.
I
Yeah.
kinda-
I love getting shit faced at a bar and just talking shit to some dude. I don't know where this is gonna go. I get that adrenaline dump of we're about to get in a fight, and it's a similar
Every man needs a dragon to fight, and every woman needs
and I can
something
go to the
take
bar
care
and
of.
find a
Something to
dragon
take care of.
somehow. Even if it's just me drunk driving and knowing that there's cops on the roads and the dragon is me not getting arrested on the way home. I'm creating a dragon to fight, and it's all just self-destructive.
Right, but
behavior.
that's the big problem is when men don't have that healthy outlet, when they don't have that dragon, they seek the unhealthy dragon.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what it is.
It's the
Yeah.
unhealthy dragon. You're going to create your own
Dude, it's
monster
so
to
good.
battle.
That's so good. And society has removed all of the healthy dragons for men, down to even little things. We're constantly trying to make football softer and less masculine.
Right, you can't say be aggressive. It's be assertive now. Right?
I don't even think that's okay.
Oh, it's not. So I saved this headline. Let me show this to you guys real quick because it plays right into this. It's when headlines like this shit are put up. It's an opinion. I don't know where this is from, but it says, opinion, getting fit is great, but it could turn you into a right-wing jerk. From Zoe Williams. The more self-actualized you become, the higher you are on self-righteousness, blaming other people's problems on their failure to be not as healthy as you.
Yeah, if you go work out and you you maintain personal fitness
Right, but
and
like-
personal health, and
I could unpack
automatically
that for 2 hours.
Right.
You're a self-actualized asshole.
Right. So just
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with
I'm self-determined. I make my own decisions and I take care of myself. Call me an asshole. I don't give a shit. I'm going to outlive you anyways. I'll be the last one laughing. Eat your Cheetos and don't go to the gym.
the thing that I look at that is like for individuals like ourselves, we can look at it. We can look at it and we can go, that's ridiculous. I don't give a shit what you think about me because I'm going to continue on my path, right? I'm going to keep going. What about the kids reading that? Like if a kid reads that, right? Like a young moldable mind, 11 years old reads, oh, if I'm fit, I'll be a jerk.
It's
like, I don't want to be a jerk.
It's the same kind. It's the same kind of thing I've seen. There's been a lot of like black public speakers that have said it, but I think Denzel Washington is like one of the more notable people to kind of make the point. He's like, I never thought that I couldn't be a doctor or that I couldn't be president until someone told me that like I could still, even though I was black. Like, stop telling kids that like even though there's this thing that's wrong with you, you're still capable of doing stuff that other people are.
Yeah,
that's the inherent lie. That's the issue right
That's
there.
the
Is this
issue.
like soft bigotry of low expectations.
Yeah.
We go to young girls and say like, listen, I know that Barbie makes you feel bad about your body, but you can be anything you want to be. Like, did Barbie make you feel bad? G.I. Joe didn't make me feel bad about my body.
Why are you putting that on me? It's like cheer moms or gymnastic
we were talking about
parents
that, yeah.
or like sport parents in general that are like, you're going to be everything that I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
Your kid plays like I think the baseball is one of the worst. Like if you want to play MLB baseball, like you have been playing travel ball since you were 6 years old, your entire life is baseball. And the best case scenario for you is that you ping pong between minor and major leagues and no one even knows your name. Yeah. Rowdy, dude. Like how many millions of kids are involved in travel ball and have no life as a kid because of baseball? And it's like supposed to be a fun, formative, good thing for you. And like we just went too far. We just fell down some stair set of logic that I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
Would you like to go next? Or would you like me to go next?
Well, what's funny is like I know you're going to get into memory hold, which is, if you guys don't know, it's part of the segment on the show where we're like, hey, this thing happened, don't forget about it, right? And remember how we talked about Jesse Smollett like not too long ago? Well, that like the media hadn't covered that for a while. Nobody was talking about it for a while. You know that reared its head?
Really?
Yeah, just recently.
No way. What happened?
What happened was they threw, I guess, I don't like. I should have got all the details about it, but the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois had they made a mistake somewhere in their. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, so they did something wrong that was against. It was essentially illegal. They didn't operate within the bounds of the law when they were prosecuting. And I don't know if it was the way they obtained information or how they went about it or how they went about the investigation, but something that they did when it was appealed, everything got thrown out in the Supreme Court of Illinois. And so I think all of his charges were overturned. Now I got to look into this. You guys can look into it. I just wanted to put it back on the radar that reared its ugly head. But they made a statement when they came out and they said, state of Illinois came back out and they said, this doesn't mean that he didn't do what he did.
Right.
It just means that
means the court case is out.
This just means that he's not, technically guilty of it anymore.
Right.
So that his case got overturned. But
honestly,
he still did what he did.
It's fine. His career got smashed against the rocks of destiny.
Absolutely.
He's
never coming back.
And you can't how do you go from that to like what job will he ever have again?
Yeah.
Like
no, you can't.
What a horrible name to carry around after that.
Yeah, that would suck.
Juicy Smollett.
Right, he's just going to get facial reconstructive surgery and change his name.
Yeah.
He's
It's
just going to
just
swap out his
such-
skin suit.
I wouldn't it's not that I wouldn't hire him because of that he like had been found guilty, they had done time, that he was none of those things are a determining factor with me on like who you are as a person. It's the fact that his lie was that stupid. I don't want to entrust you with responsibility in my business because you're dumb.
Yeah.
The lie was dumb.
It was a dumb lie.
The middle of Chicago at 2:00 in the morning, two white guys dressed in Trump gear
Tied you up and
tied you
poured
up with a
gasoline on
noose
you.
and dumped bleach on you.
Oh,
And
bleach.
then said,
Yeah.
this is MAGA.
This is
MAGA
MAGA country.
country.
The f out of here. I've
Didn't
been
it
to
turn out to
Chicago
be
at
two
2:00 in the
Nigerian
morning.
guys?
That ain't a fucking thing. That's not a. Yeah. No, it was two of his friends that were Nigerian guys. They were blacker than night. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And they got caught. They got caught where he organized the whole thing through text messages. Like, it's
Nice.
so dumb. meet him at Waffle House and have a face-to-face conversation at least. Like you texted the whole thing. Like Jesus.
The best plans happen at Waffle House.
Yeah, and dude, don't quote me on this, but I want to say that he paid them both like $200 or something. It was really. I could be totally wrong on that, but like, yeah, I think every part of it was just the dumbest.
It's like, hey, dude, I'll give you $200
to attack me with a noose at 2:00 in the morning in Chicago. I've got the best plan.
That had to be the.
Just go to Alabama. If you just would have taken a trip to Alabama, you could have done the same thing, and no one would have questioned it.
Yeah, for free. Fuck. It's brutal.
That's true. I don't even like going to Alabama. That place is a different world. Alabama and Louisiana.
They don't like me there.
Why do you have long hair? You fucking
right. Why are your toes out?
We don't like your type around here.
Yeah, we don't like you. Anyways, on to
So I saw your Slack this morning. I didn't really have a good opportunity, or I should have seen it last night, but I didn't. I saw it this morning, and so I didn't have a good opportunity to really find anything magnificent. It was just more of we're in Thanksgiving week right now, so it was a little fun fact about Thanksgiving.
I like that. Yeah,
it was nothing that was historically significant. I did go through. I found a few things. I kind of wanted to draw some parallels into some other. Pieces of legislation throughout the past, both in England and throughout the monarchy.
I can only do perpendiculars.
Allowed to.
What does that even mean?
I said parallel. It was a geometry joke.
It's my word association-tism.
So a little bit of that. Something that's not. I mean, no one's going to be floored with this information, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Did you know that? We operate with Thanksgiving being the last Thursday of every month, right? Of every November. Right? Did you know that it wasn't always so?
No.
So up until in 1939, FDR, because of the Great Depression, he moved Thanksgiving from the last weekend of the month, from the last Thursday of the month to the third Thursday of the month, and that was to extend the amount of time that people had. An opportunity to purchase things. It gave another week of people going out and shopping after Thanksgiving to purchase goods prior to Christmas, which was supposed to stimulate the economy. And it went so for a couple of years, but the problem is that all the states didn't adopt it, so you had 22 states that were still doing the third the third Thursday of the month, and then the other 23 states were like, no, fuck that, we're going to keep the fourth Thursday every month, and nobody knew when Thanksgiving actually was. And so Congress actually went back in and ratified it in 1941 to bring it back to the fourth Thursday of every month, and I thought I'd share that because that was kind of interesting.
That's what the government should be doing. That's what I want the government. I want to turn on the
news.
Hey,
if we just throttle if we readjust our the holiday, we could throttle the economy in a way that's going to be beneficial.
Right, I want the CNN anchors to be arguing tooth and nail about what the correct date for Thanksgiving is.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to just check in on the government and be like, all right, I don't care about anything.
I don't want to hear about geopolitical anything.
I don't want Rachel Maddow giving me her opinion. Rachel Maddow is allowed to give me her opinion on what day she thinks Thanksgiving should be on. She is not allowed to give me her opinion on whether or not my son should have testicles or whether or not Ukraine should have nukes.
If you can't do
those two
10
things are not
pull-ups,
Rachel Maddow's
I don't want to
business.
hear about it.
Yeah.
Argue with me about holiday dates that I'm going to forget as soon as you tell me.
And that was essentially, I mean, there was a lot more being argued. There was a lot of things happening around 1939. We can all agree on that. But that was a huge point of contention, both for the federal government, the executive branch, and Congress. It was all the states were arguing, no, it's got to be on this date. It's always been on this date, because it was George Washington put that holiday in place back during his tenure, and that was in whenever it was. So
I would like to remind
you,
it
was quite long ago. And then FBR went in and said, hey, maybe we could throttle the economy a little bit, and then it didn't work out because the states wouldn't agree on it. But that's a good fucking problem for the government to have.
I would have been pissed off. I'm thinking about this more.
Yeah,
I would have been mad that you want to fuck with something that George Washington did. Yeah. Right? I would have been like, no, we're definitely not doing that. And then I also would have been mad because I would have been looking at Europe and being like, we're arguing about Thanksgiving. Yeah. So I take back everything I just said. I do want the government involved in things.
I look at it and I'm like, you're getting paid for this shit?
I know.
I can argue about anything.
So
you're getting paid for this?
The other thing I wanted to talk about was when looking into the kind of the influence that the founding fathers had when writing the Constitution. They drew a lot of kind kind of inspiration
From Magna Carta, right?
Yeah.
Look at me, come on.
Look at you.
Look at me, I'm so smart.
Dude, give me the year that the Magna Carta was initiated, and I'll give me the century.
1694.
It's 1630s, something like that, right? Damn it.
No, but what you're thinking of is close. That's the English Bill of Rights. No, the Magna Carta was in the 13th century, so 1215.
And we're both dumb.
In 1215, that was a long.
That's what I said,
quite long
1215.
ago. Because it was.
You just misheard me.
You misheard me. Yeah, but it limited the power of the monarchy and established principles like the rule of law and protection against arbitrary imprisonment. Go figure. Even in such a place as England, when they really loved wrongful
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
imprisonment.
It's kind of crazy.
But that was the whole process of the due process, which was part of our 5th and our 14th Amendment. The idea of due process was really kind of like pulled from the Magna Carta. So these are not new ideas. These are things that it's not. People think, it was just a bunch of dudes making shit up inside of a room, drinking whiskey, smoking cigars that decided to guide the entirety of our nation for the next several hundred years. No, like these guys were drawing on legitimate things, saying what worked, what didn't work, what can we glean off this, what can we pull from that, how do we make it a little bit different so that it doesn't get. So that we don't get taken advantage of because of some things that were left out in that document.
Yeah.
Right? How do we reinforce it? How do we say, what did they miss and how could we do it better? And
have you read like the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist papers?
I did.
It's super interesting.
Yes.
Because
that
it's
was a
there.
huge point
It's
of
like they wrote
contention.
these legal documents, and then it's each one of them independently saying like, this is why we wrote what we wrote. Like it blows my mind that that's not. You should get that in high school. Like your senior high school class should be like heavy government. This is how it works. This is our formation. This was the arguments at formation. Like because we should still be having that
I think you
argument.
said like where would if we talked about like where would you have sat during that time? You would say anti-federalist, right? 'Cause
Right,
You were
yeah,
more
yeah,
of you're a higher proponent for state power and a
Yeah.
limited federal government.
The U.S. should be more of a NATO UN kind of vibe than should be more independent sovereign countries than like one.
The
we're just
size
so
of the
big.
United States is it's the size of like most of Europe.
Yeah, we're just massive, and different states have competing interests with each other, and like it just makes more sense. It seems
does.
like it would slow the government down a lot more. You'd have I don't know.
California's
But you
like
could-
the size of Italy.
Yeah, but you could also end up in California where like you're a part of the United States, but it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
You also have
So,
the
I
right
don't
to
know.
move,
Yeah.
True.
Move states.
right?
Yeah.
True.
You can do that.
Makes
Yeah.
it
I mean, that was that's what they intended in the first place. I don't think I'm insane
No.
to think that was a better option.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think so either. What was another one that I found that was kind of interesting? It was John Locke's work on natural rights. They drew from that. So they had he had a framework that shaped the constitutional framework. It shaped the American Revolution. Why we did what we did because he had the 2 treatises of government that he wrote in 1689. That had a huge impact, and Thomas Jefferson apparently drew from Locke for the Declaration of Independence. And he drew
I knew that,
off that. Yep.
I didn't know that he wrote that in the 1600s though.
What's that? John Locke?
My dumbass thought John Locke was around at the same time.
No,
Yeah,
he was earlier.
Yeah, he was earlier, and he wrote that, and that's where the Declaration of Independence really came from, and our Bill of Rights was drawn from the English Bill of Rights, but obviously changed significantly. It was just to limit the power of government. Same deal. So.
Interesting.
Yep, limits on royal authority and all that. So it was what kind of created freedom of speech and protection against cruel and usual punishment.
I don't. The biggest thing with that is I don't understand how we get to a point. And I was talking with Carly about this the other night. I don't understand how we have gotten from a point in time where man was more self-sufficient, man was more willing and able to look at another man and say, I don't want you having power over me, man. To now going, I think it's a good idea that I give more power to somebody else because I want to do less things.
Yeah.
Well, it's
How did we get to
the
that
idea that they
point?
controlled Rome with bread and circuses. Everyone's very like that's a thing that it gets said a lot, you know.
Yeah,
And
give
everyone
him
like
bread and
everyone that's kind of
circuses.
intelligent like understands the concept there that like the government controlled the populace through bread and circuses. But like think about the quality of life then. And like what the circus was and how you could see it. And now like we have TikTok that's just literally dopamine dumping your brain.
Yep.
Like there's
nonstop.
scientific studies.
People could get up and walk out of the Coliseum. There wasn't even as awful as it was. It wasn't this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a technological brainwash of you. Like
Yeah. Well, the parties of representation for the people during Roman times was actually very comparable to what we have now, and that's how we drew. That's how we drew the Senate and the House of Representatives. We drew that out of Roman policy because the people would vote for the representatives of their area and the people who, the people who would represent. And so
SPQR, man.
We
Sending
got
the
that.
people of Rome.
Yep. We got that from Rome. That was not an original idea either, having the Senate and the House of Representatives. So,
No, we drew from all the things that have just gone terribly wrong.
Yeah. And I mean,
But that's
then
the best way to
when
do
we're
it.
here on
Right.
the 2A Procast, we
Right.
talk about the Second Amendment, and they went through and they said, well, if we have all these examples of where a disarmed population were, taken over by a tyrannical government, then maybe we should also put this in here too. Boom.
Yeah.
And so that was done.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It was historical reference. It wasn't like something on a whim. Like these guys weren't just like fucking pulling shit out of their
No, I
ass
mean-
and hopefully that it sticks. They were like, we've got a pretty long, lengthy practice of history that we can draw from, and we've got the documents. We're educated human beings, so let's draw from these and see what we can do better next time.
Well, we were never supposed to have a standing army. Like, there was never their intention for us to have just a full standing
federal,
army.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Federal
was
one,
supposed
yeah.
to be states that
yeah.
had militias.
That's right, yeah.
That was the entire, that was the goal.
Yeah.
And so, because playing back to that, them looking at Rome, them looking at the Magna Carta, them looking at all these different countries and going, what did they do and what did they fuck up on?
Once a king has control over once a king has control over the government, there's an obvious issue there. Like once the federal
Right.
government has control, at any point, our federal government could turn the military against the civilian populace. You know what I mean?
No, they could,
It's a potential.
Yeah.
Like that would be very hard to do if you had to gather all of the different state national guards to stand against. You know what I mean?
I'd venture to say that they did that to an extent during the C.
I think they did too.
The C word.
I think it did too. They just turned the federal government
Trying to
apparatus
see the
against
C
us.
word with a number after it.
What they did was they turned.
You're too alluding.
If soldiers win battles but economies win wars, they use the economy to win their war. They used financial pressure to force you. Like, how many people have you bumped into that said that they made that decision because they couldn't lose their job? They're
Right.
a dad. They're
Right.
responsible for a family. I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
That is criminal.
Yeah.
Someone put a gun against your head and made you do something. It's criminal.
Well, I mean, look at it right now. We are at such a point of discomfort that it's like you can't do anything. You just have to put your head down and grind.
dude.
I sent him a photo
It's
last night.
economic warfare against the American people. If the Fed can just destroy the interest rates and they can just keep us in this inflationary cycle of doom, you don't have time to make an argument. You don't have time
'Cause you
to
have
go
to eat.
volunteer your time. You don't have time to
Yeah.
You don't have time to push back against the system. You're just stuck in it. It's very intentional.
I sent him a photo. It was two energy drinks, a jar of pickles, 2 boxes of mac and cheese, and some cookie dough.
Okay.
Guess how much it cost?
Give me the things again.
2 energy drinks,
Okay.
jar of pickles,
Yep.
2 boxes of mac and cheese,
All right.
cookie dough,
$30.
$40.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Still,
I
even
was
30
going
bucks
high.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was thinking 20, so then I said
$40.
30.
Yeah.
$40.
Fuck. Christ.
I went to the grocery store, just got stuff for me. I literally got meat and fruit and some Gatorades.
Yeah.
$200. I spent so
Jesus.
much money, I qualified for a free turkey.
Well, now you got more meat.
Yeah, they could have just given me a $50 discount. That would have been.
Yeah, can you just take $50 off my total, please?
I asked her, I was like, can I donate this to someone else? I was like, can you just know that you have a free turkey to give away? And someone that comes to this line today that looks like they need that free turkey, you give it to them. And she was like, no, I can't do that. It's yours now. You have to take it. What? What?
I'm not taking the turkey.
We just cannot operate on like a human to human level
right.
anymore.
Well, no.
computer said it's your turkey. Like,
But that's the problem. And that person would probably get in trouble if they did that.
no shit, they'd probably get
We
fired,
have
like-
created a system of people who go, I'm just doing my job.
yeah, dude,
It's policy.
so many
policy.
people. There's so many people that just say they're just doing their job. This is how you get the Holocaust, man. You have to be willing to be like, yes, I can give that free turkey to a single mother in need. Of course, you are a good person.
And
sir.
if your manager comes up to you and
Jesus.
says, you know you're not supposed to do that, spit on them.
right, hit them with the frozen turkey.
Right. Crush them.
They give it to their wife because they've got medical bills and they're going to need that turkey.
They're going to need that turkey.
Yeah, would it be uncomfortable?
Give it to their wife's boyfriend.
Would it be uncomfortable explaining why you lost your job if you did something like that?
Right,
No, like imagine the
right,
conversation that
right.
you have. Why'd you get fired, man? Like, somebody didn't want their turkey. I gave it to somebody who really needed it upon their request, and they fired me.
Right.
Like,
You should be
yeah, you
willing to get
willing
fired
have
over
that
that.
Right.
conversation. Yeah.
And then you should spread it far and wide so every worker leaves and everybody stops
Yeah, and
shopping
you
there.
know when the
Or you
government should
sue
come in
them.
and help? You know when the government should help?
Right
Is when
there.
people like fucking that get wrongfully terminated because they were just trying to help somebody else, and they are now disenfranchised because of it. Okay, all right, step in, help this guy out a little bit.
The government comes in and they're like, you know what we're going to do? You're in charge of free turkey giveaway for the next 5 years. You give away federal turkeys for the next 5 years.
There you go, and we'll pay you to do it. You made the right decision.
Yep.
Right?
Federal
It makes
turkeys.
Americans good Americans.
Here's
What
a key to the city.
Here's a key to the city.
Here,
Not
take
Diddy.
this.
Shaped like a turkey.
Not Diddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Diddy, right?
Key to the fucking city. They should be
give
giving
some
to the
guy
fucking
like me
single
that's just
mom
like-
that lost her job over giving away a free turkey to Tackett. Yeah.
Ryan invited me to Thanksgiving, and he was like, "What are you going to do on Thanksgiving?" And I was like, "I'm probably just going to sit in my room and get drunk and not tell anybody what I'm up to." And he was like, "You sure you don't want to come to Thanksgiving?" I was like, "I don't want to come to Thanksgiving, man. give my turkey to someone that's going to have a nice Thanksgiving, and then give me the key to the city.
And then give me the seat.
give me the keys. I'm going to do great things.
I
Trust
do
me.
great things, but I have an initiative behind it. I want the key to the city."
I've always wanted to stand up with a large puffer jacket with fur up at the top and a scarf wrapped around my neck, handing
Hell
off
yeah.
turkeys from the back of a truck. You know what
Hell
I mean?
yeah, dude.
Straight
Frank-
Biggie Johnson style.
Frank Lucas shit. You
Listen,
know,
yes,
American
literally,
Gangster,
yes, that's literally what I was thinking of, but I just made up Biggie Johnson.
That's okay.
If you ever want to do something for me, like if it's like 10 years from now and like we've all just made it, we all have like matching Ferraris or some stupid shit, and you guys are like, we're gonna do something ridiculous for him. I want a key to the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 I'll get you a key to the city.
Okay. You just bribe the Sacramento governor, mayor, however cities work, whatever that is. It's not a governor.
We should see how many
Mayor.
turkeys we can.
Gavin Newsom is
I'm
in the
the news
Capitol
guy.
here.
How many free turkeys do you think it would be able to give away if we actually did something like that, but we did it in like El Dorado Hills or Folsom?
How many turkeys we could give away?
How many turkeys do you think we could actually give away? Like one?
If you went door to door and we're
No,
like, we have free
I'm talking
turkeys.
about like post up in the fucking parking lot at like Folsom or El Dorado Hills. For those of you that don't know, it's got like a median household income of $150,000.
Yeah.
Like if we posted up in like a
Like-
city that didn't need it and tried to give turkeys away, how many do you think we'd be able to give away?
shit tons.
Tons. Yeah.
Shit tons.
Yeah.
Because the personality type it takes to live there.
They'd be
If
like,
the
"Oh."
medium income is 150, then the median douchebag size is big.
Like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that free shit.
There's just a personality type that's good. It's the like, well, it's a business thing. Like, it's still a bad human decision. You still made a bad human decision. You can call it whatever you want. That was a shitty human decision.
It's like when I'm trying
100%.
to remember.
You'd give more turkeys away in a rich neighborhood than you would in a poor neighborhood.
Probably.
I bet you the personal pride to not take your turkey is higher in the
That's
poor
actually a
neighborhood
really good
than
point.
it is in the high
It's
neighborhood.
actually a really good point. Yeah.
That
yeah.
people in the high income neighborhood feel fucking entitled. They deserve that free
Poor
turkey.
people
Of
tip.
course
I'll
I
take
do.
that. Yep.
Right. Poor people tip.
Yep.
Poor people tip.
I want to do this now. I want to get like 100
Slide a
turkeys.
little note into everyone that says like somebody could have used this way more than you.
Yeah.
Like after they open it up. Just trying to make it feel bad.
They get home and they cook it, and like as they cut it open, deep inside of it, there's a little post-it note that says, "My dick was here."
It's like I'm trying to remember who did it, but somebody sent out a
Did he?
check for like
Did he do
1
it?
penny to a bunch of people, and Trump cashed the check.
Really?
Yeah. I
He
don't.
said, "F- it."
I remember reading it. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's hilarious if it is.
Yeah.
That's how you get rich, man. I worked for this dude that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and the only thing that he got mad about, you could break a $100,000 piece of equipment, and he would just like you get new stuff. But if I took the wood clippings out of the wood shop that he just farted around in and made stuff,
Oh yeah.
if I didn't,
over.
if I threw that trash bag away and didn't dump the wood shavings out and put the trash bag back where it had come from, he would lose his shit over the like constructor like trash bags.
Yeah.
Were they $50 for a box of 100?
Yeah.
Totally irrelevant
That's
to him.
how
Totally
you get
irrelevant
rich,
to him.
dude.
But that's how he had $100 million.
That's how he had $100 million.
He didn't throw anything away.
No, dude. You think he leaves his car on for a second longer than
Right.
he needs to?
Right, dude. And he drove a very moderate, drove like an old Jeep Wrangler. There was no, he wore like normal people clothes.
Well, it's weird that he drives a Jeep Wrangler if he's trying to save money.
Wow. Yeah,
Anyways,
he's extravagant
so
with some things.
You need to clock out for lunch.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Don't worry. I'll get you on
So
salary.
in
Get you on
mem-
salary one of these days, I promise.
I blow it every day. I fucking it every day.
In memory hold today, we're going to talk about John McAfee. Who remembers the interview with John McAfee?
Can you say McAfee?
McAfee?
Yeah, I think McAfee.
I don't know.
Well,
What is McAfee?
it's McAfee.
McAfee. It's McAfee virus. McAfee.
McAfee. Okay.
If I'm wrong, then I've said it wrong the whole time.
Well, how do you? What's the?
It's McDonald's.
Okay, there we go. All right. I just wanted hive mind. He knew before I said it. Here, I'll play this for you, Jake. I don't know if you've seen it.
Is it not a reason to say, I don't think I'm going to vote for you?
And yet you're here now.
For a month and a half, I was on the run. The reason that the government wanted to collect me was that after they had raided my property in 2012 in the jungle, shot my dog, abused me, destroyed $500,000 worth of my property over a bogus charge, I was pissed off. And so I donated to many secretaries within the government laptop computers, really nice ones, that were preloaded with viral spyware. Within a week, the entire government computer system was under my control. I was watching, monitoring, listening. I was looking for information that they had set me up for that raid. I didn't find that. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. And the Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
We don't want to get killed by them either, so we're probably not going to.
That's fine.
Have you seen that whole documentary with him? It will rattle you.
And she said, "We don't want to get killed.
We don't want to get killed by them
stop
either."
Talking about that.
Yeah.
And he did. He did get killed.
Oh, he did get killed.
Shortly after that.
Not
Shortly after that was released,
not too
or when?
long
like
after
a
that.
year or two?
I think it was
something like that?
2013.
Just long enough to where people forget, and then.
But he
maybe
was
there
like,
no
it's
association.
McAfee like antivirus.
Yep.
Like he was as big as like he was like a Bill Gates kind of person. He knew Epstein, he knew all those power players, and he hacked the federal government and then was like,
Woohoo! So
Damn.
I have no reason to think that dude is lying about a single thing he says.
he ran away to Bolivia, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He was
He
worried.
was trying to get a place where there was no extradition.
Yeah,
treaty.
he was worried.
Yeah.
Dead.
Dead.
Dead. And then
was
a little.
he killed in Bolivia?
I don't know the story.
Not
of
sure.
McAfee that
I would
well.
have to look it up.
It's worth watching the documentary.
that
on.
is- that is
I think
super
I'm
fucking
pretty sure it's on
interesting.
Netflix. It's a really
be,
good
yeah.
documentary. Like it'll. I have no reason to think that any of the claims that he makes in it are fake. It all feels very believable. If there was someone who was going to write a program that could just inundate the government like that, like it would be that guy.
It would be him. Yeah.
He wrote the original forms of like virus protection and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like
If
he's-
you
makes
to
sense.
protect against something, you have to understand what it is.
right, you have to be right.
Right. So if you're building antivirus, you probably know what a virus
Yeah.
is.
And my favorite part with it too is that he just like he gets raided and then he just donates computers. And like
And they
just
take
the
'em.
greed and the griftiness of the government.
It's
They're like,
it's the idea of going to the rich neighborhood and
Yeah.
handing out the turkeys.
yeah,
They're
we'll
like,
take that.
okay,
Yeah, we'll take it.
okay.
take it to throw it away.
Right. So, and this happened the 19th of November this year, and I just think it's important because I didn't see it posted anywhere at all.
No, why would it be?
Why would it be? Did you know the Pentagon has failed its 7th audit in a row? Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
So the Department of Defense has failed its 7th audit in a row since its first in 2018. While the consequences of audit failures have caused major issues for private businesses, the country's largest government agency, which has a 2024 budget of $824 billion, a $26.8 billion increase from 2023, has been given until 2028 to account for its spending in the last audit.
Why is it given another 4 years to account for last year? By the time you get there 4 years from now, no one cares about like what you were talking about because you failed 4 more years of audits. You have 4 more years per audit. Like that's so stupid. It is.
Right.
That's so stupid.
It's just so
you can't.
dumb.
No, you need to account for it right now.
Right now. Where
Right
did
now.
it go?
If the thing that pisses me off about this, you were in the military. You're a brand new day one private, and they make you a driver of a Humvee. You immediately sign for the property list for that Humvee. That becomes part of your life. Is the screwdriver that's on that Humvee? That screwdriver, because I've bought many of them, is a $35 screwdriver. If you lose that screwdriver, the federal government will immediately, on your next paycheck, you'll have a statement of charges. Your commander signs it, and $35 is gone out of your paycheck, and you paid for a new screwdriver. You'll never see a new fucking screwdriver, right? But
Yeah.
the government gets that money back.
Yeah, absolutely.
The very same people that are charging that fucking private $35 for a fucking screwdriver have failed 7 audits in a row.
So
it's disgusting.
Their current Pentagon success rate is 32%.
Oh,
Whoa.
that's the amount of money they can account for, right? Is 32% of the budget.
Yeah. So failure to meet this 2028 deadline could have serious consequences, including intensified congressional oversight, reduced discretionary spending, or stricter budgetary controls on defense allocations. Even areas of the DoD's audit spending could come into question, as the latest audit was conducted by teams of independent public accountants and the Office of Inspector General within the DoD and cost taxpayers a whopping $178 million.
Of course it did.
So-
and I'm sure all those private contractors never worked for the Pentagon or the IRS before they were private contractors.
I'm
right?
sure there's no issue at all with a section head auditing his own business,
Yeah.
right? There's no issue with that whatsoever. Do you have a problem with that? I don't have a problem with that.
Fail
either.
the
Not at all.
audit to hire
No?
your friend to audit you again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like me retiring from Tacticon and then you hiring me to like say that Tacticon didn't do any shady shit. You know what I mean? Like it's so blatantly
It's
like
almost like SIG products getting pushed through the NGSW and then Army generals getting hired into SIG's directive team.
What was his name?
I got
What
it
was
right
his
here.
name?
Hold on.
SIG gets the DoD contract.
Yep.
And then the general that was in charge of all that
Two of
stuff
them.
now works for
You,
SIG.
you mean
And we're all supposed to act like we didn't see that.
the United States
It's so
Military
gross.
Committee Lieutenant General E. John Diedrich has joined 6 Hour as advisor to CEO Ron Cohen, and former NATO Afghanistan Commander General Scott Mills joined 6 Hour.
Disgusting.
Damn, right after,
yeah.
after you helped leverage the fucking contract, right?
Disgusting.
Checks out.
No, there's no shady
That's
deals
how
there.
you end up with ACUs as a camo pattern.
Tell me this
right there.
motherfucker is not shady.
Let me see him. Yeah, I've seen that guy give speeches, and I hate him. I'm trying to think of right now what I've seen him say. I've seen him in front of congressional oversight boards and just thought like,
SIG is ordered to pay $11 million to a Philadelphia man because the
Oh,
320.
yeah, got shot in
Yep.
the fucking leg
Yep.
walking down the stairs, right?
Yep.
but that was
He was
the
walking-
best possible option to arm the most important military on planet Earth.
Found
Yeah.
negligent, reckless, for
Gross.
defective design.
Yep.
Gross.
Gun went off inside of his fucking pants while he was walking down the stairs and fucking blew out
He
his
was a
fucking
veteran,
knee,
yeah.
blew out his fucking kneecap.
Really?
Yep.
Hey, Juice.
Don't carry a SIG, guys.
It's time.
Don't carry a SIG, guys.
They probably saw that by now, right?
No.
Like they have an incentive to not want that to happen, right?
What, the 320?
Yeah. Like I'm honestly like, can you find an incentive? Because I can't. What's the incentive to actually fix that problem? How many did they sell when they had one that malfunctioned? If you're just looking at numbers,
I'm sure they've fixed it. I'm sure the problem has been fixed, but here's the issue. You have a design that was going off,
yeah, but like Bridgestone,
and you sold it to the public.
Bridgestone tires in the '90s. Remember all the there was the Ford Explorers that were coming from the factory with Bridgestone tires on them, and the tires would
yeah.
explode, flip the
Yeah.
Explorers, and kill a family of 4.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, Bridgestone knew that the tires were doing that, but the failure rate was so low that it didn't justify redesigning the tire.
That's literally
They were
the
well
Fight
aware
Club
that it was
insurance
killing
thing.
people.
Yeah,
yes,
they were
that-
running
yes.
off of a percentage base, and some actuary was like, it's
You know
not
who
bad.
did
It's a
that?
low. It's a low
Consider.
percentage.
You know who was doing those calls? People who have degrees.
Yeah. You know, it is.
I'm just
it
doing
is-
my job.
It is. Now, I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but it is okay to do that as a company, so long as whatever you're selling isn't killing people. So
Yeah, it's
if-
okay
if
to
you're
have
like-
stitching fall
I
out
feel
on,
like, hey,
on a
I've got
t-shirt.
hey, what's our margin of error for like the stitching coming out on a t-shirt? Oh,
Right.
it's below 2%. Okay, are we below 2%? Yes.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to fix the
Like
stitching
tires?
on the t-shirt. Yeah, but
tires, dude. Tires that are specifically put on the
Firearms.
#1 selling family vehicle in the country.
Yeah.
Jesus.
yeah, that's 0%. That should be a 0%. That's
Callahan brake parts.
barring some complete anomaly where it happens to one individual. But
Well, the Mark 19 only has a 15% failure rate of the 40 millimeter grenades just exploding in the chamber, so it's reasonable. We can bump it out.
You talk about a gun that I've never seen malfunction, but always made me nervous.
The Mark 19.
Yeah, because it rides. It has a grenade on the top and bottom of the bolt, so every time it's sending one, there's just one hanging out with it, and I don't like that.
yeah.
I don't like that it's like it slams so hard,
And
and I just know that there's this explosive inside of it, just getting slammed around inside. It just like every time you hit the butterflies, like.
HE rounds getting slammed around inside the device that your face is in front of is bothering you.
Ooh, did they ever give you the little pop out tube from Vietnam, the law rockets? Dude,
I had an AT4.
Dude, they issued us the law rockets to put in the gunner's hatches.
Yeah.
And part of the issue, like when we went to the range to shoot them and test them and like orient ourselves with them, part of the brief from the the ammo people was like, hey, listen, these are a 50-50 on success rate.
Holy
They're all so
shit.
old that by like how we do
Numbers,
the math
yeah.
on it or whatever, the percentage rate now is like it's 50-50 on whether or not it'll even dump the thing out the front of it. Like I don't
I don't want to.
want
I don't
this.
want
What
that.
is the
I don't want-
what's the over under on it? Just goes off on its own, man. Like
Yeah, I'd rather not use it and,
Right.
and flip that coin.
same with same with tow rockets. The ones that are like wire guided, it spools the 2 wires out of the
Oh,
back.
the javelin.
No. The tow ITAS mounts on the truck. You got the whole like viewer, and then you physically fly the rocket.
Right. Okay.
There's all kinds of great because we left them over there. So like all the terrorist guys now shoot tow ITAS at each other. There's all kinds of great. But like those were like a super 50-50 kind of percentage on whether or not it would come out and there'd be no wires on it. Like just malfunctions over time and stuff.
Damn.
Because we just made like, I don't know how many millions of them for the Cold War. It didn't use them. So we just dumped them into Afghanistan and Iraq conflict to get rid of them.
Interesting.
But like they could come out the tube and just be like,
no.
it was a whole ass rocket. Just
Never been exposed to anything like that. No.
Those are scary anyways, because if they go over water, they can disconnect. If they go over power lines, they can disconnect. Like, but that's what they were hunting tanks with at the beginning of Ukraine. They were just dunking those things like 3-4 miles off. Those shots were crazy. The beginning of the Ukraine war had some dope anti-tank shots.
Fucking insane.
I was so
footage.
jealous.
Yeah, I know. There was just tanks getting murdered all over the place.
I was so. Everything they did at the beginning of Ukraine was what I did as like training ops in the army. It was always establishing a screen line with tow ITASs and then like hunting tanks, but you just did it like digitally and just be like,
no shit.
Like the tow ITAS or the little miles gear shit would go off.
Yeah.
I would love to actually try to hit a tank at 4 miles away. That's got to be the best feeling.
That's funny about
Call of Duty shit.
what you were saying about the tank. I had a conversation with the tanker not too long ago. It was just a dude that was on Veterans Day Parade, and he was telling me that, I should have thought this because it's exactly what you said about the Humvee, where they put the lowest ranking individual as the driver of the thing. Same thing for like an Abrams,
Right.
like it's the private,
Right. The private
drives
is
that tank.
for
They
that
go
thing.
down at the bottom of the tank, and then like they're responsible for where that thing goes, and you're like.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Private? Like, I didn't even think they'd let privates into that thing other than just to, like, load the munitions. And he was like, oh, no. The loader of the munitions, that was an actual specialist. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, where was the sergeant? He was like, the sergeant was sitting right next to it. We were the gunner.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, the gunner was the most important guy and the least important guy on the tank was the and I had no idea because I didn't operate in a tank environment. So it was just all news to me that you had this just stinky fucking greenhorn private as a driver,
how you call him
as
stinky.
a driver for the fucking thing, and then the guy that was loading the munitions, just putting it in the fucking pipe, like that was actually a higher ranking individual, and the highest ranking individual was often the tank commander who was actually the one using the gun. And I was like, wow, blew my mind.
Honestly, I would probably structure it that way.
Do they have a gunner? I think they're kind of like a Bradley, aren't they? Where they have a gunner and a track commander?
They have a gunner and a track. Maybe that's what it was. Okay,
Because
maybe
I had
it was,
to look into. I almost went to Fort Hood at one point in my career, and I was going to be a Bradley guy.
Yeah.
And that's something dumb the Army does. Spent like 10 years light infantry jumping out of helicopters, and then all of a sudden I'm supposed to go be like a Bradley commander. I literally don't know how to open it up to get inside of it. I'm supposed to like be in charge of this thing. Like,
yeah, maybe the NCO wasn't the gunner. It was that he sat above. He would call the shots, but
I think you have an
the
E5
gunner
and
would
an
sit
E6
like
in
in
there.
between his legs, like almost the head.
oh
head
no
kinda
shit!
down towards your dick.
I
Yeah.
literally have no
Yeah.
idea what inside an Abrams.
I
looked
know,
like.
no, neither do I. But
think
he
I've
was like,
ever
he was
put
like
my head in
explaining
there.
it to me. He's like, you got the guy, and he's on the thing, and then you got me, and I'm sitting right here, and then you got the gunner right here, and then the private driving the fucking tank is way down at the bottom, and down at the bottom to the point where if you flip a tank over and you flip it over inside water, the driver always drowns.
Oh, there's no way to get out, is there?
Yeah, he said not for the driver. He's like, there's plenty of ways to escape for everybody else, but maybe they solved the problem by now. But back when
Probably
he was
not.
in, he was like, there was a
It's
way.
it's probably something dumb where like
Your
the
driver
seat
would
lays down and he can go out the back of it or something like that. But
driver would drown. So that happened all the time in like wadis, like in Iraq.
oh shit,
the wadis
yeah.
in Iraq. He said
Yeah.
he had a
nighttime under nods, dude.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said there was
hell
a training environment that he had at Bragg. He said it wasn't in his tank, but it was another tank that he was on training operation on. Like a tank rolled over inside of a fucking ditch or a wadi or something like that, and it filled up with water, and the driver couldn't get out.
I believe it.
Yeah,
Dude, that's something. It's like one of those uncomfortable truths that people outside the service don't know anything about. Like we kill a pretty decent amount of dudes in training environments. Like people just get crushed on trying to load trucks on trains all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. That happens which is mind blowing to me. Have you ever seen that scene in Austin Powers where he's driving like the pavement flattener thing? And it's going like 1 mile an hour, and the guy's on the other side of the warehouse yelling at him. That's railhead.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a full like LMTV pulling onto the rail cars, but it's going 0 miles an hour, and you stand between it and another one and get your head smushed. Like,
yep.
you all right, bud? Like,
Just saying, never mind. I'm just not going to go there. Anyways,
the
on to the
military
quote.
recruits actual retarded people. How many actual retarded people did you meet in the military?
Oh yeah, for
Like a
sure.
bunch.
Yeah, my barometer for smart was just who's the least. That's all it really came down. I was like,
So I'll kick off the quote today. This is a quote by Franz Kafka. Don't bend. Don't water it down. Don't try and make it logical. Don't edit your own soul according to the fashion. Rather, follow your most intense obsessions mercilessly.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah. The reason I like that is it gives you the sense of like, hey, do you like My Little Pony? I don't. Whatever. You follow it. You do your shit. Right? It doesn't matter what anybody else does.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting other people.
Yeah. But
follow your passion. Don't give a shit if anybody cares if it's stupid. Don't water it down. Don't make it seem less than it is.
like that.
Just follow it with your grit in it and don't give up on it.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I think, especially when you're talking about don't worry about it, what anybody else thinks. Man, it's hard, first of all, to not worry about what everybody else thinks.
It's so hard.
But a good way to get around that is by understanding that, like, you know how insignificant, like, our life, like, right now is, like, who we are. This little blip in history, like, nobody will remember this. Nobody fucking will know who you are. Nobody fucking cares. Like,
your life's endeavors are lost.
Dude, there are men who have, like, done amazing things and changed the world, right?
Martin Luther King, knows who they are.
Martin Luther King being one of them.
Who?
Do you think in a couple more generations, he's going to be this guy? I think I've heard of him. There was a civil rights movement. I'm not really sure.
No, go back to the original Martin Luther. He's my favorite lost to history person ever. Yeah. He gave education to the masses. He nailed parts of the Bible on the church door. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, he is the birth of independent thought, of the idea that we're free people, that the government, that there's not ordained leaders over us.
Yep.
No one knows who Martin Luther is.
Yep.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because it's not that we're insignificant. I think there's a significance in almost everything that every human does. But I think the idea is it just gets drowned in the significances of everything else.
Right. Yeah.
Right? There are so many significant things going on that this podcast could have a profound impact on somebody. And then on somebody else means nothing to them.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And this is
That's
significant to them. So what we're doing is significant. But to somebody else, it's not. Right? It's just like it's lost to the sands of time.
Is it significant to you?
It's like when you were like, do you know how insignificant this is? Dude, the amount of times I've sat and pondered wondering what my idea of a legacy will be and if I will be remembered.
Yeah.
It's the dragon every man chases.
Yeah. We all chase it.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, like, we don't know. And like, what kind of put it in perspective for me was it was just going to the Natural History Museum in D.C. And I was, like, looking at how long ago some of these creatures were alive. And I was like, oh my, like, it's like 391 million years ago. There's this. And I was like, oh. And you look at the timeline and you look at where we are.
Right.
And it's this, like, tiny little grain of sand. And within that grain of sand, like, a molecule of that grain of sand is, like, really the timeline that we're in right now. And it's just weird. Just so on the timeline of history, this is nothing. Yeah. So, like, why not just go out and do everything that you want to do and you're supposed to do with two. Nobody
cares.
Fucking cares. Nobody cares about you.
No.
People care about themselves.
What
Bottom line.
I think. Continue. Sorry.
That's it.
I'm not trying to.
People care about themselves, man. You know what I mean? And nobody cares enough about you to worry about it anyway. So
that's one of my favorite, like, anxiety tools. I love telling my kid that all the time. Like, when you walk into a room and it feels like everyone in the room is looking at you, that, like, anxiety that you get.
Yeah.
You know, like a new kid, new classroom, like that kind of stuff, new job, whatever. Like, just remember that everyone else that came into work today felt the exact same way.
Yeah.
Every single person feels like everyone is looking at them. Yeah. And, like, it's the second that you accept that, you realize, like, no one is looking at you.
When we first started this podcast,
cares.
I was super nervous. Like, when we first got going, I was like, and I had the butterflies and I was nervous because I was worried that, people were going to listen to it and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, you know what? When we first started the podcast, no one's going to listen to us. And you know what? Right now, nobody listens to us. So, like, the reality of it, the reality of it is, like, nobody's even listening. There's probably like 3 people hanging out in here that are like, I'm still listening.
You guys,
cool.
will text me, hey, the podcast was super good this week, and I'm like, what?
The only people that watch it have your personal number.
I didn't realize I podcasted this week. I blacked out.
But it's for me, at least, my opinion is, thinking on the idea of the legacy and what you're going to leave and the significance or the insignificance of our actions. The thing that matters most to me, in my opinion, is what you leave for your children, and if you die with no regret.
Yeah, that's the legacy you leave.
Right.
I
have a good death and leave something good for your kids.
I think the point of a man is to pass on what men are. And like the same way that I looked at my granddad, like a World War II vet.
Like an oral history.
Yeah, like he came home and like literally was illiterate and managed to work from pumping gas all the way to like managing like a significant portion of an oil company, like Direct Oil. Like it was, the man lived this big life that took a lot of hard work and effort, and he had sacrificed all of these things for his kids and his family. Like that legacy was, I have to also do that. And I just want my grandkid to look at me and be like,
Grandpa was awesome.
yeah, I have to, like, I'm supposed to carry this into the future, you know? Like, I think that's what a man does. It's the point of us.
I think it is too.
You have to make a dragon and then slay it so that your kids know that dragons can be slayed, you know? And like,
right.
yeah.
Right.
I think maybe that's part of the pain of being like of old age is you realize like there were no dragons.
There would.
That's why they're all somber and like wise.
Oh, why?
It's because they realize there's no dragon.
Well, my quote is right in line with that.
Hit me, baby,
'cause
one more
hive
time.
mind. So this is a cynical quote, and it says, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself."
That was a quote from Seneca. Nice.
And I liked it a lot. It's basically what I just said.
Say
Like
it
you
again?
should go make a dragon and slay it,
Yep.
so that
Do
you
it
know
one
they
more
can
time.
be killed. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Like it is in the unsurety of not having tested yourself that you find depression and anxiety. And when you get up in the morning and you work out, you don't feel anxious or depressed for the rest of the day. You only feel those ways when you don't prove something to yourself.
Right.
Like-
I don't trust people who have never jumped off a cliff into water.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They've never taken a literal leap, right? Of jumping from just a cliff into water.
And the feeling that you get when you're not dead.
Right.
Yeah, when you come up out
do
of
you
the water,
guys,
you're like,
Whoa, I
do you
did it.
guys
Yeah.
remember that first feeling of doing that?
100%. Yeah.
Right. And it's that
I
moment
didn't
of,
always start on the big rock. You know,
Right.
sometimes I start on the small rocks,
Right.
the ones that were closer to the water.
Yeah.
But I worked my way up.
but
the
all
mountain,
suffering
yeah.
is the same. All
Yeah.
fear
Right.
is the same.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
A little kid's fear of the dark is the exact same as a guy in the middle of a gunfight. It's all the same level of like,
Yep.
What about my fear of the dark?
well, you're too old for that.
Am I?
Yes.
I don't think so.
All suffering is the same.
Hit me, Jake. I've been waiting for this quote for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
I'm
so
ready.
Yeah, no, it was something that I heard because, I'm going through some personal stuff lately, and I've wanted forgiveness. I've wanted to forgive, and I was speaking to a guy who was introduced to me through my brother and my stepdad, and we had a conversation about just genuine, like, I don't know how it came up, but it was more of like resentment and forgiveness and what it entails and what it's about. And this dude like didn't really like miss a beat. He wasn't like, let me tell you something really profound. He just said it. I don't even know who it's from. Like it could be like,
Could be him.
it could literally be like an Obama quote. I would not know. So you know what I mean? Like I have no idea who it's from. But
Don't you be quoting no commies.
And I genuinely think it could be him. But he was like, he said, listen, forgiveness, in all of its essence, is the to do it properly and to have effective forgiveness is the abandonment of hope that you can change the past. It's the abandonment and acceptance of hope that you would change the past. And I was like, for me, in the moment, it rang true. It was, and I probably, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but if we were to genuinely, forgive ourselves, right? Especially, right? Like forgive yourself, or forgive the guy that's done you wrong, or forgive your wife or your ex-wife or whoever the resentment du jour is.
Dude, that's
right?
good.
You have to abandon the hope that the past will change. It's really just about acceptance. Like
Yeah.
if you draw it up into one word and into a nutshell, you have to accept the past. Maybe you don't wish to shut the door on the past, but you have to accept the fact that the past exists, that nothing will change what already happened. And that's kind of like the beginning, scratching the surface of the ability to kind of grieve through whatever loss that you've been through and then forgive. It's like step one. It's
super
the step one to move forward.
Because
beyond-
that's what,
beyond-
like, if you truly forgive someone who's wronged you, the mark of that is that you're not angered by it anymore. Because to say that you hate someone is as equal of an emotion as love. You can't hate someone without loving them at the same time.
right.
And you can't forgive and legitimately, the situation I'm in, I can't legitimately let it go if I'm driven into a place of anger by it. It has to be something that doesn't evoke anger. And that's what it is. I'm angry that it happened, and I want it to be different.
Yep.
It's not going to be different. It is what the fuck it is.
It is what it is right now.
It's really
in this
good,
moment.
man. I needed that shit.
Yeah. Thanks, man. It's exactly what I needed to, and a lot of it has to do with myself, man. Like I made some poor decisions. I've operated out of fear sometimes, which that's never good. Like a lot of bad things happen.
God, haven't we all, man?
I've operated out of selfishness and wanted to do things for me and not thought about other people when I was making certain decisions. So there's some angst behind that, and there's some when you get down on yourself, when you start resenting yourself and who you are, it is a dangerous road, because that will go the wrong way really fucking quick. And I think there's something really lame to be said about, and I really mean it, I think there's something really lame in some, I think it's an excuse to say, you just need to forgive yourself. There's something lame about it, and there's something true about it, okay? I think it takes a lot of...
It takes a lot to forgive yourself.
It takes a lot to forgive yourself. It's important.
Yeah.
Right? So that you don't continue to go down the road of like this, sometimes it can be a slippery slope of, well, I'm already this way. It's this acceptance that I'm a bad human being, and so I'm just going to continue to be bad, and I'm going to live in that echo chamber for a little while.
Accept the bad, because you can all the other behavior that you do, it's not my fault. It's just who I am.
It's just who I am, right?
Yeah,
And then you start accepting bad behavior. And so I think that forgiving yourself for doing something wrong is dangerous, because you could accept the fact that, but it's also the thing that would probably move you out of that and into change is accepting the fact that this is something I did. It's not who I am. And if I can accept that, and I can accept that the change is possible through the ability of me not to accept who I am, but who I could be if I just initiated some change and stopped being so selfish, that, you can go places with that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword on that one.
Good, man.
For forgiving yourself. So
That's really good.
That's super.
I
good.
needed that in my life, actually.
right on.
It's we were talking about this Friday. It's that it kind of goes in line with the every saint has a past and every sinner has a future.
Yeah.
You can't sit and wallow in what has been. You have to be unburdened.
Here we go.
By what has been. With the idea of what can be. No, but for seriousness, that you have to be able to go, hey, listen, this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
The world exists. I cannot change what has been.
You can unburden yourself with what has been burdened.
Yeah, but it is the acceptance that you made those mistakes, or what has happened to you has happened, and to just move forward into a new light. It's kind of Hemingway says that the only way to trust somebody is to trust them.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
I literally read that last week, and I was so annoyed. It
pisses you
I
off.
don't know what I was
Yeah.
looking up, but I literally read that exact. I was looking up trust, just topics about trust and stuff, and I read that exact quote, and it pissed me off so much.
Right.
How do I allow myself to go down a road in my life now where I have that full commitment level of trust to someone else, when someone took such egregious advantage of me for so fucking long? And to stack on top of it, my mom having done similar things, there's just this betrayal from the parents, there's a betrayal from the government, there's a betrayal from the fire department, and then a betrayal from the closest person in my life.
Yeah.
And the only way for me to move forward in my life and be happy is I have to trust you. I have to trust that you're not going to fuck me. I have to trust business endeavors that I'm in. I have to trust if I want to allow other women into my life. I want a family. I want a happy life in my life. Yeah. The only way that's going to happen is for me to trust another human. So I was on the internet. How do I do that? How do I rebuild trust
How
myself?
do I trust?
And fucking Google feeds me Hemingway, and it's just you can only trust by trusting.
Right, but it is that idea of you can either hold on to it. Another quote, the Dalai Lama says it is to forgive but not to forget. Right? Do not forget what has happened. Yeah. It's not the purpose. It's to forgive them for it.
Yeah, you can go on your way.
Right.
You stay the fuck over there, though.
Right. There are lines and limitations to it, but when somebody wrongs you or breaks your trust, clock back in. It is to give them another chance is to not sit there and go, listen, I don't trust you, but it's to go, I'm going to give you my trust again. Fool me once, shame on You fool me twice. Shame on you again for fooling me.
Can't fool me twice.
Can't fool me twice.
Now watch us drive.
Right?
Can we just have him back? Can we just?
I
Have
just
him?
want him back, dude.
Did you know that also, speaking of like on this day,
Today
24
in
years ago,
history?
today in history, on this day 24 years ago in the year 2000, it took this long
Back in the
Or
year
but-
2000. It's Jonas Brothers.
For the hanging Chad.
for Bush to be officially announced as president of the United States.
Yeah, the hanging Chad.
November 26th, dude, of 2000, after the elections. He
George
didn't-
W.
Didn't
Yeah.
win the popular vote. Obviously, I think we all know that, but they officially declared him president via the electoral college.
Can we talk about
Yep.
some uncomfortable like truth with that shit too? Is like all that shadiness came from Florida. Like I
did.
remember
Yeah, I
watching it in
remember-
high
I
school
remember
and
seeing
thinking
that,
like,
yeah.
I think the Republicans are up to some shit. None of that looked good. Like that
Yeah.
looked like Bush just stole that election, and
was-
like his dad was invested in an investment company that owned like the voting machines that caused the hanging Chad problem. Like it was just so like.
Have we seen this anywhere before?
And then we went to global war with all the terrorist groups for 20 years.
How about that?
But I like
That
Bush.
was back when. That was
like
back
the-
when Florida was a swing state.
Yeah, it was bam. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's
Very-
exactly
very
my
much
point.
not now,
It was
yeah.
when Florida was like hella important,
Yeah.
and there was hella Bush influence in Florida because Jeb was down
Jeb,
there.
yeah.
And like
Jebediah.
that's the state the entire election leaned on, and then that's the state they didn't know for like a month afterwards who had won the presidency. The governor was his brother.
Yep.
Yikes, dude.
I know.
Looks
Yeah.
shady.
Looks a little shady.
Looks shady.
I don't. There's a word, nepotism? No, that's not it.
No, it's not it.
No, we don't have to talk about the fact that Bush was the director of the CIA and then stepped in and became the president of the United States. And then somehow, sort of after that, he tried to start a war in the Middle East and it didn't go very well, right? And then his son gets picked up and there's this whole issue with the voting and the tabs and there's some weirdness and he becomes the president of the United States and then we immediately go to war. And the day that the towers fall, the only two planes in the entire continental United States or North America that are allowed to leave the ground, the only two planes that aren't active military planes that are allowed to be in fucking airspace are Osama bin Laden's family flying out of Northern Virginia because they just had a meeting with Bush Sr. and his investment group. Bro, that's crazy town. That's a lot of coincidences, man. I'm not saying the government flew drones into the towers. I'm just saying that's weird. That's
and
a lot
with
of
that,
Oh, wait. I have a challenge. We're going to bid the Aquif in a second, but I have a challenge for next week.
yes.
Should we challenge each other? We've got a week to do the homework on this. We write our own quote.
Sure.
weird. Okay.
A Jake quote, a Tackett quote, and a Nolan quote.
I like it.
Rule number one, always
Now,
be sexy.
We can. I guarantee you're going to be able to look
Tackett
into
quote
these-
done.
Yeah. Now,
He's so
is
mad
somebody
about it.
else going to? There's clearly going to be some plagiarism here, probably.
No.
But
What?
you know. No, I'm saying like inadvertent plagiarism because everything that's been fucking said has already been said.
Not if you're retarded.
Not if you're. No one's as retarded as me.
And with that, we bid the Aquif.
Aquif.
That.